Yeah, of course. So my name's Richard Halls. I am based in Leeds in the UK. So my background in a snapshot was 10 years in the military, tours of Iraq and Afghanistan, left to become a teacher. After sort of a year of teaching, I moved into education recruitment, and I've been in education recruitment for sort of like the past 10 years now. I've worked my way up through various businesses, and I'm currently working as a senior divisional operations manager for Empowering Learning. So there are what we call governing bodies, if that's what you want to call them, in the UK. They're sort of accredited and affiliated. There's people like APSCO, REC. So clearly being affiliated with one of those groups, they keep you up to date with trends, tricks, things that are happening in the markets. I think not just in recruitment, you need to stay up to date in terms of your market as well. The tech market and the tech sector, which I've worked in previously in recruitment, that's constantly changing. In the public sectors like health and social care, education, they don't change as quick. Obviously, they're government institutions that are not as versatile as, you know, tech startups, for example. So it's two arms here. It's clearly, you know, following social media, staying up to date with trends, things like that. But it's been heavily involved in the recruitment market and what I would class as like the governing bodies of the recruitment market. You know, your APSCO, your REC, etc. There are others, but also looking at what other competitors are doing in your market and out of your market. James Calm's brand, Recruitment Entrepreneur, they've got a lot of recruiters under his umbrella, and they're constantly evolving and doing things. So, you know, it's really good to follow someone like that. I've worked within the brand myself. They do some really good stuff, and they're constantly updating everything they do. So there's that side, but then, you know, also being involved in the industry, so for me specifically, getting into schools, finding out what is up to date, speaking to leaders within the marketplace. And then outside of that, if I can speak to people that are making the decisions on things that are going to impact the market, for example, local MPs, anyone that is involved in decision making at government level. Not that easy to speak to those people. They're obviously very busy, quite hard to get hold of, but if you can run in those circles, that really helps as well. Pretty similar to probably the universal methods, but always start with that initial sort of telephone conversation. Once again, it's trying to find my style. Is this person really professional? Are they at a C-suite level, and do I need to approach that, hello sir, how are you, try to find my style that's going to resonate best with that person. Do they have a certain style where it's a bit more relaxed and they're, hiya mate, you okay? Yeah, that's great. So I need to find that style pretty quick. So it's that initial conversation, asking as many questions as possible, but listening to their answers. You're finding out everything. Where do they live? What work do they want? What salary range are they on? What are they after? What job are they after next? All that sort of stuff. What's their notice period? It's all the really basic things. But from there, we're trying to get them from that state to video interview such as this as quick as possible. It seems to be a thing where people will say, oh, I've had that initial phone call, I'm going to leave them a couple of days. If you can get them on that video call that afternoon or a little bit later, go for it. And then the structure of, we do have set questions that we need to sort of ask. Have you ever had any disciplinaries? Have you been sacked before, fired? Have you ever been in trouble with the police, etc.? But once those are ticked off, they're like the first ones. And I would always approach those with, apologies to ask you some direct questions, but these are things that we have to ask legally to make sure that within our sector, health and social care, that you tick the boxes for right to work. Yeah, definitely. I mean, a snappy CV looks great. I'm not a massive fan of, graphic designs, things like that, loads of pictures, etc. For me, it's all about the content, the layout. So that is normally the first thing that we see from someone. LinkedIn is a virtual CV in some aspects, so making sure that if you're going to be using LinkedIn for whatever reason, if you're using it for, look, let's be honest, most of us are either on LinkedIn to find candidates or we're on there to find a job, in my opinion. People don't go on there to find their friends and, what side do you butter your toast? But making sure if you are using anything like that it's as professional as possible. But the stuff that really grabs my eye, someone who's articulate, I wouldn't say smartly dressed, but professional to their surrounding. So if you're in C-suite and you work in business attire, shirt, tie, that sort of background, making sure that you carry that and you embody that. But it's all, the turnout, the presentation of the person, punctuality, all the really, really basic things. I'm an ex-military man, so turning up on time, being dressed smart, minding your P's and Q's, all that sort of stuff, and not lying. If you're late for a reason, just tell them why, not try to cover it with my cat ate my homework sort of thing. So they're the things, if I had to summarise in words, it'd be punctuality, it'd be presentation. They're the stuff that really impress me. Letting their emotions get the better of them. I personally have suffered from this, whether it's things become too much, and that's fine. But what I'm saying is, speak to someone if you get upset about losing bookings. We're working in sales at the end of the day, so you need to be resilient that you're going to take knockbacks, whether it's the cold caller and the gatekeeper that's saying no, you're not getting through. You've sent 15 messages and not had a reply to one, and 5 bounce backs because the emails aren't right. However that looks, but if something's not going your way or something is going your way, I've seen people celebrate for too long because they've had a massive win, and that's great, but ride on the back of that wave onto the next, and do celebrate and share the losses as well. Don't carry the weight on your own, but it's controlling those emotions. You can't get angry with a candidate and then show that to the client. You can't get angry with the client and then show that to a candidate. Too many times I've seen, oh, well, he's done that and I wouldn't have done that. That's unprofessional, or she's about this. And you've got to control those emotions and remain professional at all times. Clearly, if this person has minimal contact, if it's one email and then there's a week in between, if it's answer one call but they don't answer 10, if you keep getting yeah, it's all right, I'll do it next week, I'll deal with it then, that's the sort of stuff that I'm just like, no. It used to be a red flag that sort of punctuation, grammar and spelling mistakes in CVs and things, but my mind has changed on that. I suffer with dyslexia myself, and I don't think that you should be judged on what's on a bit of paper, but I'm on the fence on that because it is very important as well. You can't, if you're going to write an article or a blog or publish something, it needs to be spelled correctly. So that would come down to if there's one in there, fair enough, but if there's loads, they've probably not asked someone to check it. And I prefer people that can work in teams rather than just sort of lone wolf. I think there's time for lone wolf, and you need to be able to do that. If you're doing a startup, whether it's a startup agency or a startup office, you need to be able to just get your head down, work from home on your own, and just crack on without being watched and supervised. But then also, the biggest successes I've ever seen are where people work together as teams. But what I really don't like in candidates, I don't like arrogant people. I don't like people that, show offs. I've done it all, X, Y, and Z. I just don't see that type of person being someone I can resonate with. And the clients that I work with, that type of person doesn't last at their establishment or institution.